Netherlands, Poland, Mongolia, Ukraine, Malaysia, Italy, France, 163 visitors and a conversion rate of 6.6%. That's pretty solid. A huge spike through organic marketing methods. Very happy about this, Hello guys, what is up? I wanted to do a little bit of a check-in on our release of Penguin Village. As you know, we went to open beta testing on December 29th, and it's been about a month, so I just wanted to do a little bit of a check in and dive into some of the statistics here of how the application has been going and what Penguin Village next steps are. So first off, I'm here on my Google Console dashboard, hopping into the installed audience metric. We see here, we released here on the 29th. So those 3 initial users are some of our beta testers and my own personal device. Our closed alpha testers and my personal device. And here's where, we made a big jump. So, we made a big jump, a lot of traction here at the start of the year. And I will comment on what I did to get this jump and what I should have continued doing in order to see more jumps like this continuing going. And so, we'll talk a little bit about how to market your own application today, and maybe some tips that I've gathered from the release of this app. So first off, I just want to thank everyone who tried out the application. If you haven't, it's obviously still not too late. We're live in open testing, and I think if you're seeing this video, we may already be in production, depending on maybe a few decisions I make over the next couple of days. But that being said, I think our peak user count here was at 19, and we hit 19 users a few times. And so compared to the stats of my other application I released called Animal Dash, this absolutely blows it out of the water. So Animal Dash was mainly personal friends and family that I knew. I got them to install the app, and for Penguin Village I wanted to avoid that. So the numbers you're seeing here are mostly real engaged users that found the application either natively on Google App Store and organically, or maybe they've touched base with my application through some of the marketing methods I used, and I'll talk about those as in later in the video. So I just want to go over a couple of statistics and brag. So here we have seen, after our big jump, we did see a little bit of a spike. So we are maybe sort of trending downward in terms of installed audience. I just wanted to hop over to engagement to monthly active users. This one, it tracks how many people have used the application in the last month. So we're sitting at 30 people have loaded Penguin Village in the last month, and the last data here that Google Console has available is January 26th. So 30 active users in 1 month. We went live on the 29th. I'm very happy about this. Coming down here to the location, we've got people in unknown region, 10 people in unknown region. We got people in the UK. We have users in the United States. We have users in the Netherlands, Poland, Mongolia, Ukraine, Malaysia, Italy, France, and others. We got Iran, Guatemala, Philippines, Mexico, Indonesia. So all people from all over the world are using Penguin Village, and so that's great to see, and that's with zero localization. So have been targeting English speaking. The tutorial character speaks in English, so perhaps the retention among some of these other non-natively English speaking countries would have been a little bit better, if I had some localization on my app. So it's maybe something to think about. But anyways, so people all over the world are enjoying Penguin Village, so it makes me really happy to see that. So maybe another cool one is this is the one I wanted to call out. So quality crashes. There was only one crash reported, and this isn't like the user reported the crash. This was like the application reported the crash. Our application, Penguin Village, only had one freaking crash among all of these 30 users in the last month, and this was on January 4th. So and it was on Android 16, it seems. That is freaking amazing, if I do say so myself. So I hope that gives you guys confidence if you are following my tutorials here. One crash for 30 users across the last month. I think that speaks to the quality of code that I present here on this page. Rating, we didn't get a single rating, so we're not maybe engaging with the user to the point where they're like, wow, I have to give this a 5 star. I did try to organically farm some ratings from a few people, but that didn't end up panning through, so we didn't get any ratings. But that's maybe not the end of the world. So now I wanted to hop over to the store listing performance. It's more interesting here actually if we go through the Google Play achievements here, to talk about our statistics here. So store presence. I wanted to go to store listings. I only ever used the one store listing, December 19th. You can see last update on December 29th. That's when we went live. We got 363 visitors and a conversion rate of 6.6%. That's pretty solid. I feel like that is equivalent or maybe even a little bit better than industry standards. 6.6% conversion rate. So we did something right with our store listing. So I'm very proud of this metric. That is quite incredible. So I am pleasantly happy with that. So hopping back over here, you see that this is just targeted here. Let me move my face. This is just targeted for the last 28 days. I can't do a custom range, last 32 days or whatever we've been live for. First opens, we've got 19 people who downloaded and opened the application for the first time, and 31 people who have installed the application. So, a lot of the times, you install an application, you think about playing it, but, you just don't end up going back to it. But over half, like roughly 60-70% of the people who install the application end up actually opening it and playing it. So that's also good as well. I feel the 6.51%. It is highlighted in green, so that makes me happy to see, and I'm overall really happy with that. Coming down here to my play game services, let's go ahead and take a look at how many people are achieving achievements and stuff like that. So see, there is maybe a little bit of decline in the last couple of days. So I've got maybe a little bit more marketing promotion to do on my end to get Penguin Village even more out there. But let me just define a custom range here. So we can get to see how the application really took off here. So again, we do see a huge spike on January 5th, and I'll talk about how I got this spike through organic marketing methods. And so we got 19 achievements were achieved on this single day, and 7 achievements on the 3rd, and 9 achievements on the 8th, 7 achievements on the 15th. So these couple of days here, we had quite a bit of activity. I mean, 19 achievements being achieved on January 5th. That's pretty impressive if you do so ask myself. I'm coming down here, the last achievement, the 23rd or whatever. The last time this data was updated was on the 30th. So just a couple days ago. It's, February 2nd as I'm recording this video. So decent achievement, gathering here. So let's look at now the list of achievements. Catch a fish. So this is the first action that players do in the tutorial. So 56%, we can see here, we've got 14 unlocks, and 56% of our players are catching a fish. So that essentially means about half of our user base is completing the tutorial, or at least starting with the tutorial. Now, Penguin Doctor, this is the percentage of people who've completed the tutorial the whole way through. So 24% of our players are completing the tutorial all the way from beginning to end. And so, maybe that tells us maybe our tutorial is too long, maybe our tutorial is too challenging, maybe we don't need the tutorial at all. But anyways, so this is, gives us a good idea of how many people are actually completing the tutorial. So we see 6 of our players, at least, I'm not sure what the time span of this might be all time, but 6 of our players have fully completed the tutorial. So very good. Now, this is interesting because, we have 8 players here have caught a purple fish and 7 players have caught a golden fish. So these are not required for the tutorial. And you'd be lucky, if one of these colored fish spawned during the tutorial. So I wonder if this metric is maybe not correct, or maybe there's a bug in gathering this achievement, because if only 6 players have, healed a sick penguin, it's really suspicious that this many have captured a golden fish. So that's maybe something to look at. And the fact that we have Penguin Hobbyist here with 9 unlocks. This is purchase your first penguin. This is also a step in the achievement, and we've got 9 unlocks here for buying your first penguin, but only 6 unlocks for healing your first penguin. So it seems like this is probably the more accurate number. Roughly seems like maybe 9 players are getting through the tutorial. 9 players have gotten through the tutorial, about 36% of our user base. So people who install the application, people who launch the application, and people who actually complete the tutorial is at 36%. It's not so bad if you ask myself. We do see here that 7 people have gotten to level 5. It's pretty freaking good. We don't have a single player that's level 30 or level 50 yet. We do have 1 player that's level 20, and we do have 1 player that has unlocked, no, not Gem Master, Penguin Master. 1 player who has over 10 penguins in their enclosure. So that's pretty freaking cool. Penguin Entrepreneur, I think, is 5. So we've had 2 players that have purchased 5 penguins, and you see it usually takes them about a day to get there. So that's pretty cool, and that's since not playtime, obviously. That's since application install. Let's go ahead and check our leaderboards to see how many scores we've got posted to our leaderboards. So fish caught, we've got 14 scores submitted. 9 scores submitted to the penguin population, 15 of our players, submitting a score to the highest gem count, and 14 players submitting score to our total experience. So, pretty solid. And this goes to show you how achievements and leaderboards can be used to really keep track of your players' progress and how they're interacting with your app, how many people are making it through the tutorial. I could have an achievement here that says completed the tutorial, and give it to the player when they've completed the tutorial. So I'd have a really strong sense of exactly what percentage of the user base is making it through the tutorial. And in addition to these steps that they get throughout the tutorial, I could see, hey, 25% of the players are falling off at the step 5, catching a fish or whatever. Another 25% are falling it off when they need to heal the penguin, and at the end there's X amount of people who have completed the tutorial. So overall, so good. That's achievements, that's the leaderboard. We went over our listing. So now I just wanted to talk about the major marketing push that I did. So I went to this game channel called Indie Game Dev. So I've been interacting with other indie game devs here on this Facebook channel for quite some time. And it's always good to not just hop into these Facebook groups or Instagram groups or whatever and just plop your own app here and never interact with anyone else. That's kind of selfish and defeats the whole purpose of these pages. So you really want to make sure that you're an organic, legitimate user of the user base. And in that way, that when you finally do make your own post, you can gain a lot more traction. So here I did end up receiving the Rising Contributor Award. I am new to this this Facebook page, but this page got quite a bit of traction. So we can see here this page got a little under 100 reactions and 68 comments. And the main trick here, and it's not really a trick, but the main idea here was that I wanted to make it an emotional post. I just wanted to just say, hey, here's my freaking app. Here's the gameplay, go have fun with it. So I told the story. Most people would probably look at this and laugh, but not me. This is a little bit after the launch. I had 9 users. 9 users organically decided to try out my silly little penguin app, and that means a lot. I had a user in Iran, Croatia, Ecuador, and the States and Canada. So at the time, for me, like I shared at the start of this video, this was, it was quite surprising. I really, really thought all of my users were going to just be from Canada and United States. And that was the mistake I made with my first app, Animal Dash, is I only released in English-speaking countries. I don't even think I released in Europe because I was serving ads and I didn't make them compliant for children. So I decided just not to release there. But with Penguin Village, I took the extra steps that I needed to take in order to deliver in those regions and serve my AdMob ads in a compliant fashion, because my game is fun. There's fun little penguins, and therefore doing the survey, it deemed that my application is not targeted to children but is child friendly, and so this led me to make sure that my ads I was serving are child friendly and child compliant. And so I released to, I think, 256 countries or something, I think, with Penguin Village. So, and this ended up, really allow me to grow my user base a lot more. So there's another tip for you. If you are releasing your own indie dev app, make sure to release as much as possible, as wide as possible, as broadly as possible. You don't necessarily know who's out there who might be enjoying your application. And as I shared before, I think localization is something that I really, really missed with the release of Penguin Village that maybe would have made my engagement with those maybe non-English speakers a lot more positive. So at the time, my store listing had a 2.6 conversion rate. And I mentioned here it's probably under the industry standard, but as I shared before, we're up to like a 6.6 store conversion rate. So that means that 6.6% of people who landed on our page are happily downloading our app. They're hitting install. And then you saw that other metric, the amount of people who are installing the app, who are actually opening it, is at around 70%. So, 70% of the 6.6% that are installing the application are opening it. And then from our achievement metrics, we see that roughly about 50% of those people are completing the tutorial. So you do the math, and we're ending up with we got 6.6% of people visiting, and we've got 70% of those people opening the app, and then we've got 50% of those people completing the tutorial. Well, what does that work out to? 1% of people that visit the store page end up being an active daily user, and I feel like that's pretty solid, in the sea of Android apps that are out there. So I'm really happy with how Penguin Village has gone so far. As usual, my weak part is marketing. So that's kind of why I wanted to step it up here with this, and I probably should have continued to do more posting. So, as people started flooding in the comment section here, people started, talking about their own applications. People started talking about, hey, 2%, is a good conversion rate. People share in their own applications. It was important to hop in there in their comment section. I downloaded every single person who commented with their own app under my game. I downloaded, tested out, and sent back feedback. And I think that's really important that we need to organically, here's someone else talking about their installs, organically engage with the community. And that way you'll be seen as, more of an official figure in the community, as opposed to just someone who's trying to, just use the community to, publish their own application. So that being said, the other thing that I did for marketing was I posted some shorts. So you can see here, I posted my gameplay trailer. It ended up getting 8,000 views. I posted as a short. And I added the link in the description. I posted this on December 29th, so that's how I got the first few users. And then on that January 5th Facebook post is really where I made the huge bump. So, 8,000 views, 0 comments, 22 likes. Not that bad, but realistically, how many people do really check the short? The description of a short, it's very, very minimal. And I linked the related video, the long form video, but I don't think the application got any downloads from that, because it got 17 views, 2 comments, and 4 likes. Not bad. I do appreciate the one guy coming by and commenting on the video, and mentioning that, hey, doing a good job, keep it up. So, if you ever do see a small creator out there, and especially in the indie game dev scene, give them a little bit of support and let them know that, hey, you're out there and we appreciate what you're doing. It really keeps us going. So that being said, posting some YouTube videos, posting some YouTube shorts. Shorts is a really great way to get a lot of views, but how much do those actually translate into app downloads? Your go-to is probably going to be, reaching out on Facebook and trying to get some organic marketing going that way. So that being said, next steps for Penguin Village is we are going to release to production. That being said, I did have this feature in mind, so decorations. I wanted to add decorations to the app before I even pushed for open testing, and I wanted to get a few ratings in first. I got a little bit of feedback, and I posted an hour of live development fixing up some of the open beta feedback, and I got a little bit more after I made the Facebook post from people testing the application. And it's good because if there was ratings, when you're in open testing, any rating that is sent to your application is not saved for forever. Once you go to production, you sort of get a clean slate. So I was hoping for a little bit more ratings to come in. I'm not quite sure yet how to farm those ratings. Maybe I just have to have a better app with more gameplay. This Penguin Village was a very simple release. just to continue dipping my toe into the water of indie game development and app development. So there is this feature I wanted to implement called decorations. And I mentioned down here, if the application gets 25 users, I'll implement this. And, we did get 19 active users. I was thinking 25 users was a long shot, and I wanted to post. I never made a post on my personal Facebook to my friends, and I really wanted to see how far I could get the application without that. But that being said, don't forget, we did get that 30 monthly active users. So, if you do look at it, one way we did sort of achieve this metric. I wanted to get 25 users. I wanted to get 25 daily users, but we got 30 monthly users. So perhaps I will implement decorations, but I think that will probably come like in a March release of the application after we go to production. So I think we're going to production with Penguin Village. And that being said, if you still are here, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out, my other projects. I am working on a secret, unannounced project. It will be a release on Steam, and it is a 3D deck building real-time strategy game. Think Hearthstone plus Clash Royale. I'm very excited to put together a release announcement teaser trailer. I'm thinking release will be coming in early 2027, I'm thinking. I am having a baby this year, so that might throw a wrench into the plans, but I'm very excited to announce this project. If you did make it this far, hit down in the comments, let me know you're excited for my unannounced secret project, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks.